Welcome to Do It for the Gram, an Enneagram podcast with your host, certified Enneagram coach, Milton Stewart, where we do it for the Enneagram, not Instagram. We make moves to improve our lives and those in our community. So this year, I got a lot of different things I have planned out to come throughout the year. And what I'm going to start with is the thing called passions. Each type, the passions, the vice, the emotional patterns. I'm going to break that down a little bit. But I wanted to start with that because this year I also wanted to teach the subtypes of each number so that people can get even more granular and specific on their specific type and their pattern. And really to understand the subtype, you need to understand the passion, vice/emotional pattern. So in these episodes, in this series we got coming up, it's just going to be about the passion, the vice, and the emotional pattern of each type. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let's go intro music. All right, so you may be wondering, what is the passion, vice, or emotional pattern of your Enneagram type? Because you may have seen the different things and maybe not fully understand it. So what is the passion, vice, or emotional pattern? The passion, vice, or emotional pattern all represent the same thing and are used interchangeably throughout Enneagram teaching and books. The passion, vice, or emotional pattern is a specific habit that each type has that flares up hardcore. Unfortunately, the passion, vice, or emotional pattern can be so automatic or native to the way you interact with the world, you may barely notice it's happening or not even recognize it when it's happening. You may say, that is just the way I am, or I am this kind of person, without really examining why you react the way you do in certain situations. The Latin root word for passion is passio, which means suffering. The connotation of passion now is more of an intense care or enthusiasm for something, but the root meaning of the word passion is actually suffering. That is why it is used in many Enneagram circles, and especially those who built the foundation of Enneagram years and years and years and years and years and years ago. The passion of each number is something we all are suffering or must endure through our lives. It does not mean suffer as in being excruciating pain, but more of a habit that seems to trap us and keep us and can lead us into pain within our lives. The Latin word for vice is vitium, hope I said that right, which means flaw, defect, fault, or error. Emotional pattern is a more new age term that I believe describes it well and makes it easier to communicate to people in our generation. I do not want to abandon the word passion or vice because they make a statement that this emotional pattern we struggle with is something we must work on. And it's not just a jolly old emotion. So throughout this, I will use them interchangeably throughout this whole episode so you can get a grasp on the language as well. Why is the passion, vice, emotional pattern important? Because the Enneagram is a growth tool. Many times people get caught in just getting the knowledge of it and seeing some of the patterns, but do not apply it to themselves in a way that helps them grow. When you start to notice and become aware of your passion, you realize when you may be moving towards unhealthiness and your type structure may be about to take over and react in an automatic habitual behavior instead of choosing the action you want to make. Disrupting your vice allows you to make better choices for your life and just maybe get the things you really want out of life and not settling for a knockoff, counterfeit, faux, or fake version of it. Quick, easy example. If you are looking for affection, attention, and love, but you settle for sex, which will never hit the mark of what you're really longing for. That is more of an extreme example, but this is the case for many areas in our lives. The power of the Enneagram is the internal work. Internal work is not like external work, which is usually fast and caught up in what others think, say, and do. Internal awareness is slower, quieter, more challenging, and way harder than external work. Why do you think so few people intentionally change for the better, unless something chaotic brings it to their attention that they must change? It is not easy, but if you are here, then you must be one of the people working on engaging in the challenging journey of internal work. Recognizing your emotional pattern is important if you want to dive into internal work and truly change your life for the better. All right, so you're probably wondering, what is my type's passion? So before we get started, let's remember that when I talk about the passion, the vice, and emotional pattern, and I also use the Enneagram as a growth tool. So some of these things may sound a little harsh, and they're going to be challenging because I'm looking to help people grow and not just to look at themselves and say, hey, look at my personality profile. We're not doing all that. We're actually trying to get better here. So some of this may come off a little harsh. Before 8, I'm pretty sure this probably won't be harsh, but just for most types, I just want to drop that in. All right. The passion, vice, and emotional pattern for the type 8 is lust. No, this is not necessarily the sexual form of lust. This lust is an intense desire for intensity. This intensity tends to take over in various ways for 8. Many times it shows up in their jobs and careers. It also can show up in their workout and relationships. 8s already have another level of intensity that they naturally live by. So when the vice of lust occurs, they go in overdrive trying to obtain something that they want. This usually leads them to getting sick in some kind of way. Generally, there's a stomach sickness, and then depending on what they are trying to get, it results in some serious illness that takes them out for quite a while. It tends to be a pattern. 8s get into a pattern of lust and drive really hard until they are sick and absolutely have to break from what they are doing. And then they get well and repeat the pattern. The emotional pattern of lust is really dangerous for relationships for 8s because they can crave this raging intensity that usually ruins the relationship for one reason or another. The passion of lust also can cause difficulty for 8s in the workplace with coworkers and managers. This is one of the reasons that 8s usually work for themselves, have strong autonomy, or have a job that protects the vulnerable and marginalized. How did I get my passion? It starts as a child. Somewhere in childhood, 8s got the message that I must go 110% all the time. If I'm not intense, I will not get what I need or want, or I must protect myself so that I'm not vulnerable. So I must make sure that I bring the intensity so that I will not be the one who's being picked on or being seen as vulnerable. What can I do when I notice my passion is rearing its ugly head? One thing is noticing the stomach pains. If you're having constant stomach pains consistently, then most likely there is some emotional pattern of lust going on that has either created it or driving the force of it for Enneagram 8s a lot of time. When you notice your emotional pattern, vice, or passion of lust rear its ugly head, it's time to take some deep breaths. Breathe in and down. And breathing down means basically you're thinking about breathing down, but into your body almost. Like you're breathing down and relaxing the organs within your body all the way down. If you find yourself pushing so hard to accomplish or attain something relentlessly without some breaks or pausing, then you may be caught up in lust. When you catch yourself in the passion of lust, you need to take some deep breaths and look for the subtleties and softer things happening around you. And then question yourself, what am I lusting over? Or what am I intensely trying to get right now? Like really, once you can answer that question, what emotion is beneath the anger that is driving the lust and intensity? For example, what am I lusting over? Am I trying to force a relationship, or am I only choosing to be in intense relationships because they keep my so-called attention? Well, really, because I want a deep connection and I'm scared to use my softer feelings to try to get there in this relationship. What's beneath the anger? There is some vulnerability, pain, fear, and a void of dealing with the softer emotions within myself that deal with me having self-love. So that was just an example. And for 8s, trying your best to notice just how intense when the intensity level is way too high, because it can be hard to tell sometimes. But if you do not feel the subtleties and the small things of life, then that means you're probably going a little too hard. You want to be able to feel the subtleties because 8s are good at feeling the extreme of things. Good, bad, and different, all of those things, but it's trying to find the subtleties in life, which is going to really give you the balance you need to be healthy to your relationships, to yourself, and to those around you. So that's all I have for this episode. Quick reminder, I am almost over my Patreon goal as of today. I am a few dollars short. I believe I am about $21 short of my goal of making sure I have enough money to pay a podcast editor basically full time to take care of my podcast so that I can focus on content writing, content creation, and studying the Enneagram more to create more beneficial things for you. So if you want to give to that, you can go to patreon.com/Joe do it for the gram. Also, I have an event coming up. I believe this podcast is going to drop before this event, which is on March 28th. It's called Foundations to the Enneagram. And the first one, the people were super engaged. I'm excited and waiting for part 2. So I would love to see you there if you're able to make it. That's March 28th in Memphis. And you can sign up at kaizencareers.com/events. And one more thing, Kaizen coaching, consulting, and training. You can, if your organization wants a workshop on Enneagram, or you're doing a retreat and you're like, man, I think the Enneagram would be great for our team, give me a call, or make sure you go to kaizencareers.com and go to Enneagram coaching or consulting, and then fill out the consultation sheet, and I'll give you a call within 48 hours and talk to you. And then also coaching, if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, that's also an option that we can work on, and we can look at the details of that and then see where we can go from that. But just go online and fill out the consultation sheet, or give me a call at 901-334-1644. And last thing, Enneagram 8s. If your emotional pattern, vice, or passion of lust is invading you and you're about to react out of strong 8ness, take some deep breaths in your nose and out your mouth slowly and ask, what am I really lusting over? And then what emotion is actually driving my lust and anger? And do it for the gram, the Enneagram, of course, and make a healthy choice. All right, we'll see you soon. Have a good day. Bye.